Hi, Cancer. Hope you guys are doing really, really well. My name is Brian. I am your queer psychic bestie, and I have a reading for you guys today. This is going to be a monthly forecast for the sign of Cancer. So, if you have Cancer anywhere in your chart, maybe you vibe with Cancers, you could be a cross watcher, whatever the case may be, this reading may resonate for you. As always, this is the internet, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that through email or form submission on my website. Cancer, we are doing a Celtic cross for you today. So this just gives me the widest look at your month ahead. This is for, it's for October, by the way. So this just gives me the largest view I can get of the month ahead for you. So let's see what's going on, Cancer. Let's get into this. Once I have all the cards out, we will dive in. I have my window open. It's finally nice out. Okay. All right. And then what's the outcome, please? Thank you. Perfect. Alrighty. Let's dive into it. Bottom of the deck is your challenge, represents what you're not seeing, what you're not looking at. We've got the Seven of Cups, we've got the Knight of Wands, and we've got the Chariot. Six of Cups is here as well. So, Cancer, it almost feels like your challenge for October here is going to be figuring out which direction you want to go. It feels like with the Chariot and the Knight of Wands here, some of you may be moving. Physical relocation is on the board a little bit here. And with the Seven of Cups, some of you may be wondering like where to go. Like some of you, like I said, this could be physical relocation, could be job. Knight of Wands is almost like throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. So some of you may be coming at this from an angle of like uncertainty, like not really knowing where to go or how you want to go, but needing to just try anyway. And then the Chariot is victory. So I do see this as like a very positive movement forward for you, Cancer, but let's see what's going on because I see it as positive. You may not be seeing it so positive right now because you start with the Nine of Swords. So right off the bat, the Nine of Swords is anxiety, insomnia, and sleepless nights. This is your current energy. So you're kind of really dealing with a lot, again, of the uncertainty, a lot of this sort of, I don't really know what I'm doing kind of energy, and it feels like, it just feels like a lot of second guessing is almost what I want to say here because I keep feeling like, oh, I'm going this way. Am I? Do you know what I mean here? It's like some of you may be looking for some outside validation as well. Like I feel like you may be making choices and then telling your friends or the people closest to you and being like, oh, do you think that was a good thing? Like, do you think that was the most aligning decision with me? Because it feels like your crossing energy here is the Three of Wands. So the crossing in a Celtic cross is either a help or a hindrance. This to me feels a little bit like a hindrance. It feels like, again, you're kind of coming at this again from a lack of self-trust, like a lack of being able to feeling like you almost can't rely on yourself. And I think that's why you're kind of exporting a lot of the questions and the validation here of like, I need someone to tell me I'm doing the right thing here. Cancer, what I will encourage you to do here is to remember that when we look at things like decisions, if we put a lens of judgment over our decisions and say this is a good decision versus this is a bad decision, we create things like shame and guilt, which are not organic feelings, right? We don't feel those naturally. We feel them because someone points at us, tells us to feel shame and regret, and then we do. In order to circumvent this, we remove the lens of judgment from which we're looking at decisions with, right? Similarly to how you wouldn't label an emotion as bad or good, labeling a decision, as bad or good can also be quite harmful to us because it creates those negative emotions. right now, I feel like you're so caught up in your own lens of judgment, in your own lens of good versus bad decisions, that you're outsourcing your authenticity by asking people, do you think I did the right thing here? Do you think this was the best decision? And it almost feels like the lesson here for you is that you have to be able to trust your inner compass, your own inner um, navigator, right? Oh, hold on. Sorry, I was sticky. Sticky's like the one thing I can't stand. Okay. Let's see what's going on. What else can you tell me about this? Judgment. Yeah, like we're making big decisions here, Cancer, for whatever this is. It feels like October is just a month of... It almost feels like the decisions don't stop. I hate to say that to you, because I feel like you're dreading it a little bit. Yeah, you have Judgment, you have the Knight of Pentacles, the Page of Swords. There's a lot of movement here for you, Cancer. Like I said earlier, physical relocation is definitely on the board for someone. Oh, and I felt like I just got something flew into my eye. Knight of Pentacles, this could be work related for some of you. It doesn't have to be. And then with that Page of Swords, it's almost like, this is going to sound a little funny, Cancer, but I almost feel like you need to interject a little bit more whimsy here in this decision-making process, right? Obviously, when we are making decisions, we're doing it for the goal of bettering ourselves, but at the same time, it's almost like I think your guides want you to delve into, well, a decision should also be fun, right? It should also have some sort of enjoyment tied into it. Like, let's say you are physically relocating. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility, but that's such an exciting thing. There's so much whimsy there. So it feels like with this Page of Swords, I would encourage you to have a little bit more fun with these decisions, with whatever is coming up. Even if we're leaving, let's say we're leaving one job for a better job, like there's more opportunity there. There's more whimsy you can add to that. Oh, now I can do this. Now I can do that. Maybe I move to a different state. But it feels like with this Knight of Pentacles, this is very like, I don't feel like Cancer is very much a sign that's overly earthy, overly concerned with like money in the earthly realm, but you're coming across as almost that. So you may have Earth in your chart somewhere that's like domineering right now, but it feels like you're looking at things as very like plain, cut and dry, and very itinerary, cross my T's, dot my I's, like very just, the best way I can say this to you, Cancer, and I don't mean this in a mean way, is like ho hum. It's very business. It's very like, no, we can't talk about that. We have to talk about business. And I think that's kind of, it's sapping some of your strength and it's sapping some of your enjoyment. Because even in your headspace here, you've got the Two of Wands. So it almost feels like you guys are so goal focused right now, which is, it's fine to be goal focused, of course, but it feels like you're taking it to the next level. You're taking it to almost like an unhealthy level of, there is nothing but this one specific thing that I want to do. And I feel like with this Two of Wands showing up in the headspace, the way my guides are saying this to me is like caught up in the future. It feels like you're kind of, again, caught up in where you want to go, what you want to do, and wondering if that is the right place for you, right? A lot of cerebral here this month. A lot of headspace energy here for you, Cancer. Overthinking, thinking, overthinking, and overthinking it again. High Priestess. Okay, period. Needing to listen to our intuition. Page of Cups. Seven of Wands. I think Cancer also, there's a bit of fear here. Feels like you guys are fighting this change a little bit, even though you know it's good for you. With the High Priestess here and that Seven of Wands and the Page of Cups, I think some of you guys are catastrophizing. It feels like in your headspace, it's almost like you're banking on the worst things possible to happen here, right? And it feels like you're kind of breaking your own heart, Cancer. You're discouraging yourself. You know, you're looking at everything and saying, well, this isn't going to work out and that's not going to work out. I'm going to have to do plan B and plan C and plan D. And so it's like you have all these contingency plans, but why are we assuming that plan A is not going to work? There may be some hiccups. You know, it's like some of you guys, I think, take hiccups as like disastrous failure. You know, you like if something doesn't go 150% to a T the way you want it to go, you're like, oh, I failed. This isn't going to work out for me. I would encourage you to step away from the picture here, okay? The way I describe this to my collectives and my clients is like, if you try to read tarot here, girl, I can't see shit. It's so close to my face, I'm not able to see it. But if you zone out and you look at the cards from over here, okay, I can see it now. That's why when I read tarot, I read it from a vantage point up. I can see everything. You guys are staring at everything so close to your face right now that your eyes are going out of focus. You know, everything's becoming blurry and you're not able to like see it clearly. I would encourage you to zone out a little bit, come out a little bit, give yourself a little bit of this vantage viewpoint, an eagle eye, so to say, because you're very close to it right now, Cancer. And I get it. It's emotional. You're an emotional sign. You're a water sign. I get it. I'm a Pisces. We're emotionally invested in this. And so it feels like as a result, we're looking at it super, super, super close. And it feels like your guides are reminding you to just trust your gut and go with the flow a little bit here. Okay, Seven of Wands. You don't have to, not everything has to be a fight. Not everything has to be like this. I almost want to call it a grand journey that you're making it out to be. You know, mountains out of molehills is what I also want to say here. So I would recenter a little bit. Recenter. Because this is just, it's polluting your headspace. And it's translating into the physical world, because in your physical world, you've got the Eight of Swords, which is a prison of the mind. Notice how we went from a busy headspace where we're kind of stuck into the physical world, and we're still in a busy headspace where we're really stuck. You have the Chariot, bottom of the deck here. That is your card, Cancer. So you're showing up in your own reading, but you're showing up in the challenge. So you're in the way a little bit of yourself right now. One more, please. Thank you. Yeah, we've got the Fool, the Emperor, and the Two of Pentacles. Okay. I think some of you guys are also a little bit scared of taking the reins. I think that there is a certain amount of fear that comes through when we are sort of making these big leaps and bounds and really trusting ourselves with ourselves, right? There are plenty of decisions that we've all made in our lives that it required us to step into like a really strong seat of power to execute it. And this is one of those moments for you, Cancer, where it feels like this month is coming. Like I said, there's decisions coming up. There's going to be more decisions after this one. And it's requiring you to step into like a really elevated sort of energy here. And with this Two of Pentacles and the Fool, it feels like some of you are putting this off again because there is this sense of, if I don't do this correct, if I don't do it well, then it's all my fault. You know, and it's not to say that you're looking for a scapegoat at all here, Cancer. That's not what I'm saying, but it's a lot of pressure you're putting on yourself. You know, the pressure to make the decision is already large, right? Because there's so much going on here and we're so stuck in our thoughts. The only thing that's going to free us is doing the thing. So again, making that choice. So the pressure's already large, but you're compounding it even more because I almost feel like you're dipping into hyper independence territory here. You know, of course, when we're making these choices, it does come down to us, but we can listen to people. You know, I would say instead of validation seeking from other people, hey, do you think I did this right? Do you think I did that right? I think some of you guys need to learn how to ask for advice like before the fact is almost what I want to say here. You know, let's say you're opening a business. You go to your friend who already owns a business, you pick their brain about it. You know, I would say gather your information first and then make your decision. But if making choices and then needing someone to tell you that you made the right choice is where you're getting stuck at, reroute and come back around to another, like, look at it from another angle. Again, like I said, zone out a little bit. Look at it from an outside angle and see that you can ask for help prior to the fact, which would maybe better inform you and make you feel better about making that decision. Do you see what I mean here? It's not just make the choice, have someone tell me I did a good job. That's not really helping you. You're not really learning from that. If you go to someone and you ask and you take that leap of faith with the Fool and come out of that hyper independent spot and ask for help, it may work out better for you. Because even here in your past, you're showing up 9 of Wands, you're wounded, you're hurt. Whatever this is, it just feels like you're kind of Cancer. There's this feeling here in your reading of like, I'm over it. And I feel like for October, it's like this feeling might be getting in the way for you. Yeah, Temperance just fell out. Like lacking balance within the self, lacking balance within life in general here is really what feels like it's causing you to be like, okay, well, like, I'm over it. Of course, if we don't have balance in our life, we're going to be over it. Of course. That's a natural, like, human response to this. The World. Oh, okay. I think I know where this is going. The World's Death and the Queen of Pentacles. So for some of you, you've been trying to birth this for a while. I don't feel like this is a mother wound. I don't feel like that's what we're talking about today. Maybe it is a mother wound, but that's like not the point of this. This is something that I feel like you guys have been trying to birth for a while. The Queen of Pentacles is a mom card for me. So with death, that is the death of the ego. And then the World is, again, there's physical relocation here for you, Cancer. It's on the board. I keep hearing it, so I'm going to mention it. But it feels like with the Queen of Pentacles, death, and the World, I think some of you are frustrated because you've been trying to manifest this, or you've been trying to pull this through for so long. There's this feeling here of like wanting to give up because it's just not happening. And I feel like with the World being here, it's almost like your guides want you to acknowledge this is a hard lesson to learn, Cancer. It's out of your control right now. I feel like with death in the World, you're learning the lesson of patience, and that's a tough lesson to learn. I feel like you're learning how to wait. Sorry, my eyes are really itchy all of a sudden. Maybe you have allergies. Weird. But it feels like, again, the lesson is waiting. The lesson is like, okay, I can't force this thing to happen. I can't force something to show up for me. So I have to be patient, and I have to trust that what I'm doing is going to birth the thing that I want here. I think this is also a lesson in trust for you. Like, are you trusting yourself enough to get it done? Are you trusting yourself enough that how you're calling it in, what you're doing is aligning with the manifestation that you're looking for here? There's definitely, how do I say this? There's a feeling of helplessness here. And Cancer, I think that this is a very real feeling that we all deal with when it comes to our own manifestations. At some point or another, the manifestation is fully in the hands of Spirit and your guides and the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. And this is like one of those moments with death where you're learning that to be powerless is not a bad thing in this regard. It's almost like my guides want me to tell you to see it as a way to take it off your plate. Powerlessness in other areas of our life is never good. Giving away our power is not the moment. But in this specific area where you're trying to call something in and the universe is taking hold of it, it's almost like, think of it like, oh, I don't have to think about it anymore. The universe has it. I've got it. That's where I feel like your guides want you to come from. Because even as you move into the future here, you've got the Fool. It's going to require another leap of faith, babe. It's going to require that you have the oomph and the perseverance and the trust in your guides, in the universe, to make these things a reality for you without being so hyper independent about it. Yeah, Knight of Cups, because it's coming in. It's going to show up. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Thank you. Oh my god, I can't make it up. The Wheel of Fortune in the Tower. Are we kidding? Are we joking? This is such a strong, iconic combo because the Tower is the tearing down of everything, and then the Wheel of Fortune is the rebuilding of it. This is such a good combo, especially with the Knight of Cups here. Cancer, I can assure you 150% that what's going on around you is shaping the world for your manifestation to show up. This is 100% your guides taking over for you. I really do feel like the lesson here, Cancer, is that you cannot have control over this. It's just not going to happen. You have to be able to let the tower fall, you know, like literally let lightning strike it and take your leap of faith, jump out the window here, not literally, and trust that what's coming is what you're asking for. Okay, with that Knight of Cups again, I feel like your guides are very invested in this. I don't know why it's coming through like that, but it's like, I feel like your guides want you to rest assured that they are doing the thing, like that they're helping you here, that there are other beings out there for you and not just you, you know? But I can assure you that it's coming in. It's not if, it's when. The sooner you surrender, the sooner it shows up. That's what this feels like to me. But yeah, I think you're going to really struggle with this, Cancer. How you're seeing yourself right now is the Five of Wands. I think the surrendering part for you is the struggle. You know, I feel like it's like again, it boils down to this trust issue of like, well, how do I know that the universe has got me? How do I know that this is happening? But it's almost like the way my guides are saying this is like, look at all the things that you once asked for that have been delivered, that have been given to you. That's what this is. You know, you have to trust. Look at the things that have been given in the past is basically the advice here. You know, like I'll give you a real world example. I've been trying to manifest like a husband for years now, okay? And it hasn't shown up, but I also manifested for years me leaving New York. That did manifest. My house is here. I live in Pennsylvania now. You know, that manifested. That was a big manifestation that came in for me. I have to trust that the husband is on the way. Do you know what I mean here? You've got the Two of Wands, the Eight of Wands, and the Hanged Man. I think Cancer, something that would benefit you greatly is meditating. I think some of you guys, because you're not getting almost signs or like communication with your guides, you feel as if it's not there. There, every once in a while, I'll pull cards for myself just to make sure that me and my guide source we're all on the same page, and that is reassuring for me. You know, I literally did a reading for myself this week, and it was like the Two of Cups, the Lovers, the Sun, and I'm like, okay, great, period, it's on the way. It's the same thing here for you, Cancer, with the Two of Wands, the Eight of Wands, and that Hanged Man. You need to still your mind. You need to be able to sit in silence and meditate and connect. Maybe do your own form of divination. You don't have to use tarot cards. You can throw charms. There's so many different forms. That's just one of them. Automatic writing, scribbling. There's so many different ones out there. And it feels like your guides just, they want to talk to you and let you know that they're here to help, but you don't, it's like you don't open the door, you know, because your brain is so loud all of the time and you're not taking time to slow it down and quiet it. It's like, have you ever tried to talk at a concert? That's what this feels like to me. Your guides are like, hey, Cancer, I love this for you. And you just can't hear it because you're at a concert. Okay? Your superpower is the Ace of Pentacles. So at the same time, Cancer, what I think is really interesting here is that Your superpower is sort of patience. You know, it's almost like I'm hearing like I've waited this long and I can do it again. You know, that's sort of like your superpower here is that you're, yeah, maybe you're having trouble surrendering, but the way my guides are saying this to me is kind of funny, but they're like, I'm going to be waiting anyway. You know, I feel like that's the sort of angle that you're looking at this from. I'm going to work on myself because I'm going to be waiting anyway. You know, that's where I feel like you guys are right now, or where you need to be if you're not already there. Ace of Wands, Three of Wands. Yeah, Queen of Swords. I feel like some of you guys are also learning to take your defenses down. That's part of this journey. You know, when we are trying to manifest something, there are things that we can do and there are things that we can't do. Right now, there's not much you can do to speed up the process, but there is stuff that you can do to prepare for it. And it feels like with this Queen of Swords, the Three of Wands, and the Ace of Wands, you can start by removing some of the walls. You know, Cancer, it feels like whatever you're manifesting here, maybe it's love for you. You know, it's showing up. How do I say this? Like, you're showing up almost with an electric fence around yourself. And that, even if your manifestation did come in, it's going to slam right into this electric fence, right? In order to be able to receive the manifestation and get the thing that you're calling in here, you have to remove the fence. And I feel like that's where a lot of you guys are in this waiting period between when you ask for the manifestation and when it shows up. You have to be able to just let the wall down. I think this is a lesson in vulnerability for a lot of you. You know, learning how to be vulnerable again, learning how to let people in again because of these trust issues, because of these hyper independence issues. It's like you've held off, like you've held away from people for a while. And I feel like you're finally unlearning that and letting go of it. Because even your hope is the Page of Cups. Maybe for some of you, it's love. Maybe that is quite literally the manifestation coming in. A partner, a husband, a wife, who knows? Are they them? I don't know, you know, but your hope is that everything is going to work out. And it is, Cancer. You just have to, like, let it. That's almost what this is. Three of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, and the Eight of Swords in reverse, exactly. In order to, like, free yourself from this prison, Eight of Swords, remember we talked about that? That was in your headspace. We talked about the mental stuck in the headspace, and then the physical was the Eight of Swords. Now, the Eight of Swords is in reverse. Freeing yourself from that prison is going to look like accepting help. It's going to look like letting people in. It's going to look like, as a Cancer, as hard as it sounds, like letting the shell down. You know, letting people see beyond just the shell of the crab, letting them get to the soft, squishy part. And this is not to say that we're not protecting ourselves, right? We have boundaries. Making sure that we're stating and putting good boundaries in that will protect us is how we can let go of the walls and the armor and all these other things without feeling naked, without feeling like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, you know? And I feel like that's the only way. That's the way out, Cancer. Truly, that's the only way I know how to say this. The only way you're getting out of the castle you've built for yourself is if you learn to accept help, if you learn to accept people in, okay? Because even in your outcome here, you've got the Seven of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. Again, your guides are stepping in. I can't stress this enough to you. Whatever you've asked for, it's going to show up. It's going to come in. It's just a matter of when and how. Seven of Pentacles denotes time. It's like weeks, months, years, but it's also effort versus yield. What have I put in? versus what am I getting? But also, what seeds did I plant that are now blossoming? Yeah, you've got to work on the trust issues. The trust issues are like your biggest block here. Because the trust issues create the castle, right? The hyper independence comes about because of the trust issues. Yeah, you've got this thing that's keeping you stuck. 7 of Swords. 9 of Swords. The Magician. I'm going to say something a little controversial but brave. Cancer. If you constantly think about partners who cheated on you, who were not trustworthy, and you dwell on that energy of untrustworthy partners, that is what you will call in for yourself. Okay, you have to be really careful here. It feels like you're so overly focused on the negative and the ways that people misused your trust and the reasons why you have these big giant walls up, that you're not realizing that the longer you dwell on that, the longer you think about partners like that, the more magnetized to that you become. Okay, I always tell my clients, if we keep dating the same person in a different body, we haven't learned a lesson. Okay, but dwelling on that is how you magnetize yourself for that energy, right? If I sit here and I think about, I was cheated on in one of my first ever serious relationships. If I sit here and I think about just constantly the fact that I was cheated on a serious relationship, and I'm just, oh, all men are cheaters, I'm going to get cheated on, and cheating, then guess what? That's what I call in for myself. That's what I manifest for myself. Okay? Move away from that narrative. Release that narrative. Let it go. That's how you find a person of substance. But let's get you guys an oracle card. I did decide to change up the oracle deck I'm using today. This is the Oracle of the Healing Waters by Rebecca Campbell. Rebecca has beautiful decks. They're all very on point. So let's see. Cancer. What's the advice for Cancer, please? For October. Thank you. Thank you. One more. Thank you. So your first one is clear waters, clear vision, confirmation, right timing, and opportunity. Like I said, it's hard to hear divine timing is at play, but it really is, Cancer. You've got the water carrier. What really matters? Reflect, reprioritize. Go back to the drawing board. And Lady of the Lake. New beginnings. Something is about to happen. Cancer, this is a really positive reading. Like I said to you guys, this is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, okay? Cancer, I will leave your reading there. That is your monthly forecast for you guys. If this reading was helpful, or if my reading style resonates with you, I would really appreciate if you considered liking and subscribing. We are on the road to 200 subscribers, which is exciting. If you guys would like to interact with me on a live basis, I do go live 3 days a week on Twitch. You can find me Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST, as well as Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. EST. There's also a Discord server you can join if you would like to be surrounded by a wonderful community of people, but also keep up with updates about my streaming schedule. That can be found on the Discord. If you want the link to that, let me know in the comments and I'll drop it, or drop by stream. One of the mods is always posting the Discord link. So Cancer, I leave you guys with this. I hope you have a fabulous morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you guys in the next video, okay? Bye.